On Bottom Line viewers, it's Mitch here. I'm joined by a special guest. You know him as Dilly Vanilli. We are here to discuss the Dallas Cowboys and basically the coaching changes that have been going on with the Dallas Cowboys. So it's really intriguing because the Cowboys this year, I tweeted something out yesterday, Dylan. I'm sure you probably saw it. I said all I could think about during this game, which was the Eagles and the Seahawks game in the wild card, all I was thinking about was, why are the Cowboys not on a flight to Green Bay right now? Like, they're the most talented team if they were playing in this game. And we've pretty much summed it up. We had this conversation before. Most of it was on the coaching. Not all of it, but a lot of it was due to the coaching, the message being lost for the Dallas Cowboys players, and just overall the preparation level of this team this season was a major disappointment, and this team ended up being a major disappointment, Dylan. So, You're the Cowboys fan. What do you think of, first, firing Jason Garrett, and then we'll kind of get into who they went to go and hire?
There was nobody more happy than me across the NFL yesterday, even though my team wasn't playing. Seeing that he was officially gone and fired, it made me so happy, okay? This has been a massive headache for so long, and you brought up the fact that there has been a lot of things that have been the issue of the Cowboys in 2019 specifically, but overall this doom and gloom kind of thought process was more in the fact that Jason Garrett was still the head coach of this team, and now he's gone. 10 years. We went a whole decade with this man being our head coach. That is depressing, considering he has more 8-8 seasons than playoff wins. Okay? So everything coming into this situation, we're like, please do it, please do it. I'm like, I know the date's going to happen. Black Monday, he's getting fired. No. Why am I getting off this plane and he's still a head coach? I don't understand. And then finally, after a week and a half of, what are we doing here? Is he gone? Is he not gone? He's officially gone on Sunday. I was very happy to see it happen.
All right, so basically they come into this period of signing coaches, and my first thought was the Dallas Cowboys are a team, they need a guy who I feel like can come in right now and can kind of give them a new voice, but also give them a little bit of something different. Because Jason Garrett, he's an offensive guy, but yet his offense has been a little lost. They made the switch to basically Kellen Moore being more of the offensive engine behind the team this year instead of Jason Garrett. Do you like that? We'll get into Mike McCarthy, but do you like that they went again with a guy that's more of an offensive-minded coach, and also a guy that didn't even coach this year?
I like it. I do like this hire quite a bit, actually. This is a guy that won the most NFC games from 2006 to 2016. He is more than capable of leading a team to success. He won a Super Bowl 45, and it seemed like the Cowboys hire management was focused on hiring a guy that had experience and knew what he was doing. Remember, they only interviewed 2 coaches. They only interviewed Mike McCarthy and Marvin Lewis, which is a crime. I don't know why we ever considered Marvin Lewis at this point. But, considering it took 10 coaches before Wade Phillips was fired back in 2007, it was a way different process this time. They loved what Mike McCarthy did. He stayed an extra day. Jerry Jones invited him to his house. There was a whole lot of meetings. So apparently they love him, which is great. Is a great start. You want to have that thumbs up kind of thing from Mike McCarthy. But just seeing, what he was able to do in Green Bay, and I know those last 2 years were very strenuous. It was not a good relationship, but I think it just kind of went down to the Green Bay Packers were not working with him, and he wasn't working with them. It wasn't a good duo at the end of it, and the Aaron Rodgers problems were very long at that point. So I think it just needed to end the relationship there and not more of what he was doing on the coaching on the field. So getting a new start, getting a team that was rated in the top 5 in offense and near the top 10 in defense is going to be great for him. We've also has a new defense coordinator, which we'll get into. and then dealing with Kellen Moore, who apparently, according to Rappaport, he likes already. They're going to build on that relationship. I know he's a very offensive head coach, and with this team being able to score a bunch of points, just not able to put it situationally, if they can fix that part of it, this could be huge. And I think Mike McCarthy is a big step forward for that.
All right. So before we do get into more of the Mike McCarthy talk, the Mike Nolan talk, make sure you guys do go over here, subscribe to the Bottom Line View if you haven't already. Dylan, let's plug your channel now, and then we'll plug it at the end as well, just so they can find you before we even get into any deeper conversation. If you like what Dylan is saying right now, Dylan, where can they find you?
Yes, thank you. You can find me at Dilly Vanilli. Of course, I did my player predictions last week. They didn't turn out very well in terms of who I picked, but so
I don't think anybody's did. So I don't think you have to worry about that.
Good. Tomorrow I am coming out with my top 10 takeaways from the wild card round. Going to be talking about what I saw over the course of the last weekend and what I have feeling up coming into the divisional round. So check me out, Dilly Vanilli, and then you can always follow me on Twitter at the Dilly Vanilli.
The Dilly Vanilli. Go follow him on Twitter, guys. Also, Gronk spike the like button if you haven't already. And we want to hear from you guys. We're live right now. If you're live, make sure you comment your opinion on the Dallas Cowboys, the Mike McCarthy hiring, the Mike Nolan hiring for the defensive coordinator. Let us know in the comments what you guys think of these two hirings and overall of the Dallas Cowboys, possibly their prospects next season as a team that could be maybe a contender in the NFC East, or if you see them kind of being the same way, you don't think that the coaching change is going to do anything. So let us know there. All right, so Mike McCarthy, you got into it a little bit. This is a guy that, of course, won a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers, and he brought a lot of success to Green Bay. He did coach Brett Favre for a season or two before he left, ended up leaving, and then he made the whole transfer to Aaron Rodgers. So the big thing with Mike McCarthy is he's never really dealt with a quarterback who hasn't been elite. So that's the question about him mostly throughout his NFL career, is he's never had to take over for a team that the quarterback was not one of the 5 best in the entire NFL. This time with Dak Prescott, I mean, we know that the future for the Cowboys at the quarterback position is going to be Dak Prescott. But I think that's the question. How do you feel about Mike McCarthy? Just those questions about Mike McCarthy being, was it Aaron Rodgers? Was it Brett Favre? Was that the success, or was it Mike McCarthy?
Well, I mean, definitely you have to give credit to what Favre and Rodgers were able to do in their careers. They're amazing quarterbacks, but at the end of the day, you have to have a coach that is worthy of getting the job done. You know, you don't just get into the Super Bowl with a crappy coach, as the Cowboys will tell you for the last decade. So you have to have somebody there that is good enough to get the job done. And with Dak Prescott, I mean, you look at the stats. He was definitely in the top 10 quarterback conversation. I have to put that in there. A lot of people, and I know some people in this comment section will believe that he sucks and he can't do anything right and he's not the quarterback of the future. But if you look at what he was able to do on the field and you look at the stats, you definitely have a quarterback that is capable of doing something. Again, it was more about situational football. And so, you know, with Mike McCarthy, he sees a quarterback that's very talented. And if anything else, I think what underperformed more on the offensive side this year was running back with Ezekiel Elliott more than Dak Prescott. So I think it comes down to what McCarthy can do. And he's proved it before, and I know those guys were great, but I think Dak is still pretty good as well. So I think it balances out, and I think it's going to be a good duo between the two.
All right, so as far as my opinion, I want to hear what you think here, Dylan.
What's up?
I'm kind of stuck, okay, because there's things I like about the move, okay? So if we had to put it on a like and a dislike, a pros and a cons, I feel like I like that he has experience, and I like that he has experience with, like, what's the word? Success and failure, but also he's had to deal with some personalities. And I feel like if you're the Dallas Cowboys coach, you need to deal with personality, and you also need to deal with expectations. And being the coach in the past of the Green Bay Packers, that's a place where you deal with expectation, because the Packers have basically never been bad outside of maybe a period in the 70s and the 80s where they weren't as good. But you're talking about a franchise that has been one of the most historic in the NFL from the 60s to the 90s to the 2000s and till now, right? So Green Bay has had a lot of success, and McCarthy was able to go there, deal with that expectation. It's going to be a little bit different in terms of the media. It's not it's small town sort of feel. It's more of a big city sort of feel, and it's more of a national team than a tight team, but I still think there's that same pressure in Green Bay that there is in Dallas. So there's that. I also think what McCarthy does well in terms of a coaching is just he's good at situationally. Like, we never really see McCarthy teams just screw up in big situations like it's totally his fault. They're always prepared for those sort of situations. They're always prepared for their playoff games. But also, he's good with, like, game management. He's good with, like, timeouts and like those types of situational things. Some coaches are not good at that. Some coaches are great at scheming. I feel like one of the cons of McCarthy is maybe the scheme a little bit, but those were probably the biggest pros that I can think of. And he's also a guy that's going to bring, I feel, a toughness that Jason Garrett didn't bring to this team. I think Jason Garrett maybe was a little bit too raw of a coach. While I do think McCarthy is a little bit that way, I also think McCarthy is a guy that is going to instill some toughness to this team, more so than Garrett did. I feel like Garrett was a little bit too buddy-buddy with the players, when McCarthy, I still feel like, did, in Green Bay, keep that relationship to I'm still the coach, you're still the player, which I think is still a good thing. You can have a good relationship with your players, but when it becomes like your best friends, it's a little bit too much, and that's when you start to lose focus of your team around you. In terms of the cons of the team, or of the hire, I feel like McCarthy, offensive-wise, this is what I don't want to see from the Cowboys. I don't want Jerry Jones and the Cowboys to give him the full control of the offense. Because we saw at the end of the days with Green Bay, you remember we were talking about this on the channel. I felt like the offense was a little too stale in Green Bay. A lot of it was Aaron Rodgers based. A lot of it, maybe it was the relationship between the quarterback and the coach where they weren't seeing eye to eye, so it didn't really transfer to the field. Maybe that was part of it. But also, I just don't think his offense, unless he's changed it drastically, which I know he's gone back and looked at some things that he can change. That's good. But I just don't feel like that's the right way to go. I feel like still keeping Kellen Moore as the primary mind offensively and McCarthy as that guy in between the offense and the defense as the true head coach, in the same way as like a Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. I feel like that would be the best role for Mike McCarthy. So I feel like those are the pros and the cons. Outside of the staleness and maybe the staleness of the offensive scheme and the recycling of a name we've seen before, I think those are the only cons from this hiring. I think there are a lot of pros to the hiring. One guy that is a recycled guy is the guy that they did hire on defense. Okay, Mike Nolan has been around the NFL for a long time. Mike Nolan has actually been in the NFL since 1987, and he's been coaching further before that. He's a defensive coordinator in the Giants, Washington, two teams in the NFC East, the Jets, the Ravens, where he had his most success, I wonder why, Broncos, Finns, and Falcons. So he's been a lot of places. He has a ton of experience, and he was also the head coach of the 49ers, where he was 18-37 over 3 years of coaching from 05 to 08. Not the greatest head coach in the world. He does have a relationship with McCarthy because he hired McCarthy in 2005 to be the 49ers offensive coordinator. So let's just start with your thoughts on the hiring of Mike Nolan as a defensive coordinator.
Well, you just brought up the fact that when, Nolan brought him in as Mike McCarthy is the offensive coordinator, so they have that relationship. Mike McCarthy's more the offensive mind, and of course Nolan is the defensive mind. Being a head coach, as we've talked about many times, is very different from being a coordinator or what have you. So that run from 05 to 08 is not great, but being a defensive coordinator is a much different role, and it's going to be something that Nolan's going to have to do to improve this team, because there is a lot of talent on this defense. I just think there was a lot of underperforming last year. Leighton Vander Esch was out for half the season because he was hurt. There was a lot of other key pieces that didn't get the job done, especially DeMarcus Lawrence. But with Mike Nolan coming in and having so much experience, having so much time to focus on multiple different teams, and having a variable amount of success, I think this is a good hiring. Again, you want to get rid of that Cowboys stink that was coming up from all of these coaches that were still in the Garrett era, and you want to replace them with talent and getting a guy that is so associated with Mike McCarthy. And this was hired, literally hours after McCarthy was done being the head coach, or was announced as the head coach of the Cowboys. I think is a great sign. So it really is going to beef up that defense and really help them out for the future. And with the talent that they have, I think this is a solid hiring, no doubt about it.
All right, so I don't know. Like I don't really know, because sometimes the guy that is a recycled name isn't a defensive coordinator for a while. He hasn't been a defensive coordinator since 2014 with Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So those teams were good, like in the early 2010s with Atlanta, but obviously near the end it got like McCarthy a bit stale, and maybe they weren't performing to the level they would have liked, so they let him go. But he goes to New Orleans. He becomes the linebacker coach. He does good things there, I feel like. Over 2017 to 2019, he's been the linebacker coach for their team. He was the linebacker coach in LA, or I guess it was San Diego at that time. So he's done a good job with linebackers. His expertise is linebacking coach, defensive line a little bit.
Sorry, I was going to say he was the Saints linebacker coach. So I was going to bring that up. But.
Yeah, he is Saints linebacker coach. And really, when you look at the Cowboys defense, I think that's probably the area you want to have the expertise in. I mean, you want to get the best. I feel like the strength of the Cowboys defense and where they really need to, if they're going to be successful, they need to be able to execute in that area is the linebacker position, right? So they have Jalen Smith, Van Der Esch, and Sean Lee. Don't know what's going on with him. Like, he's getting older.
Maybe.
Those two in particular, though. And those two, I mean, Jalen Smith was probably the better of the two this year, but Van Der Esch certainly did not have the best year this year compared to his rookie year where he looked phenomenal and looked like a bright young star at the position. So I feel like if you get the best out of those players, it might impact the entire defense. And even if he hasn't been the greatest defensive coordinator at times, he's always been good with linebackers. You know, he was there with the Saints, obviously. Demario Davis this season has been one of the best linebackers in the game. You look at the Ravens and obviously what they had in the early 2000s. Even at times with the Broncos in 2009. I mean, they were 6-0 in that season with McDaniels, and McDaniels hired him as the defensive coordinator. So they were really good. They were allowing the least amount of points halfway through the season, and the entire team kind of fell apart that year. The Dolphins, I don't really want to put too much on him for that because they were not good in 2010 or 2011, so they didn't have a lot of talent. Some of it's talent, some of it's scheme, but with Nolan, sorry, I was going to say Mike Smith. With Mike Nolan, he's always been good with linebackers. I think he can get the best out of Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith, and that's the hope, I think, what Jerry Jones is trying to get out of this. And also, I think that they're trying to get out of maybe having a similar defense to what they had. Because what I believe he's going to bring is a similar defense to what they already had in terms of actual scheme. I don't really see it changing very much. Like, yeah. I think it's going to remain 4-3 primarily, and maybe he changes a few things about it, but it's going to be about the same. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. My only real con about this, again, is the same thing with McCarthy. You know, maybe he's just past his time to be a defensive coordinator. Like, maybe you would have been better off to get a younger mind, maybe with fresher ideas, instead of recycling the same sort of player, same sort of coaches. But then also comes the pros that you were talking about in terms of he has experience and he'll bring the same sort of toughness that McCarthy will bring. And I think what Jerry and the Cowboys want to get the most out of this is they want to change the way the team plays and approaches the game. I think they want to have a tougher team, and I think Mike Nolan can certainly bring that because he has that old school approach to things. Mm-hmm. So, and I think he brought that with the Saints. But do you wish that they might have brought in maybe a younger defensive mind, or maybe a guy that had different ideas, or maybe a different scheme entirely, because this scheme is going to remain about the same.
Well, when we were getting into this discussion about what the Cowboys' next move would be, I was kind of thinking of something more flashy. This isn't a very flashy thing.
No.
It's by the books, kind of. We're sticking to our guns situation, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But as a Cowboys fan, you would have thought maybe they would go out of the box and something creative, and I would have loved that as well. But at the end of the day, if you have somebody that knows what they're doing and knows how to get it done, I think you just kind of stick with that, and especially with Jerry. If he wanted to see with the head coach and the defensive coordinator, if they have had success before, he's going to stick by that. He doesn't want to. I don't think I guess his thought process was he doesn't want to rely on the future, or not the future, but like rely on what could be. It's I've seen this before. He can do it again situation. So. Yeah, I would have loved to see it, especially with guys like Chris Richard still on our line, even though he hasn't signed a contract yet. But at the end of the day, I'm very positive with this result of him being the defense coordinator.
All right. So Dylan likes it. Dylan seems to like the McCarthy hire, the Nolan hire. I think there are questions. We'll find out if it works out. One last thing I didn't really bring up was I guess I just do like the fact that they've worked together before, so they're on the same page. And obviously, you're going to bring in a guy you kind of know instead of a guy that you don't know, because usually when a head coach gets hired, he is allowed to hire his offensive coordinator, his defensive coordinator. That's usually how it works. So maybe owners might have some say in that as well, but typically it's the head coach that you hire. You let him go out and hire his staff. And Mike Nolan hired McCarthy. He might have done him a little bit of a favor here, and maybe they were talking. You never know. Maybe they're close friends. I don't exactly know that, but maybe they're close friends, and Nolan was saying, you know what, if I was a defensive coordinator, I would be doing this. Maybe I disagree with some things that I think it's Dennis Allen in New Orleans was doing, and I could do it a little bit differently. You never know, but I think whether it was Nolan, Allen in New Orleans, I think they turned around that defense a lot in New Orleans. Remember how bad it was?
Yeah,
like in the early 2010s. So hiring one of the guys that was involved in that process might have been a good idea. All right, so we're gonna go to the comments now and just see what everyone's talking about. We have quite a few people in here right now. So
can I bring up one thing before we get into the comments real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
McCarthy has also been off for a year, which you can make it as a negative or a positive. Like, hey, he's been away. That's maybe you want to see somebody come in and be NFL ready, but he's had time to watch everything, scout these new teams, and not have to worry about upper management for a year. So I think that could be a very useful tool going forward.
Also, the thing about I didn't even think of this, but the thing about McCarthy though is Green Bay doesn't have an owner.
Yeah, that's true. Now he's going to have to deal with
the most possessive owner in the NFL. Not even like the biggest name, but also like the most crazy possessive guy.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Well, apparently Jones loves him. I know it's a very early start relationship, but that's got to be somewhat of a positive if Jerry Jones is inviting him to the house and figuring out all these
sleeping over.
Did
you hear that?
Yeah, that was a pretty weird scenario there. But I mean, think about it. Garrett was fired yesterday, and they already hired the new coach today. Like, I know they were
talking to him already.
They were talking.
I mean, the guy wasn't even working last year. They're probably talking to him for a while.
He's like, hey, let's figure this out real quick, and then we'll talk as the season goes on. Maybe you'll have a job here. But regardless, I mean, at the very least, in public information, Garrett was going to be fired sometime last week, and McCarthy was already, again, one of the two people they interviewed. So if he already has some love for, if Jones already has some love for McCarthy, that's off to a great relationship in terms of the owner with the coach. I know Jerry had that with Jason Garrett, but let's hope it's different, please.
All right, comments time.
Comments.
I'll let you react to them first, and then I'll give a reaction.
All right. Well, first notable comment, of course, is from Crow Monty, who keeps saying Dak sucks. So
Oh,
That's
we
all.
get that. We get that a lot. We get that a lot.
I don't understand it. Did we watch the season? He was one of the best things about this team this year. Okay.
That's like a theme in my chat. Like, it doesn't even matter if the Cowboys are playing or the video is even related to the Cowboys in any way whatsoever. People just say Dak sucks.
The Cowboys live rent-free in people's heads, whether they like it or not. I don't know what to tell them, but they just love making comments about the Cowboys, I guess. Even though it's not. Okay. Anyways, moving on, because I don't believe in that statement. Busboy says, I told you they were going to get McCarthy. So he called that.
Busboy, he's a fortune teller, bro. I don't know what to say.
Fortune teller right there. Dirk Cant, what's up, buddy? I know it's been a while. He still says me over Mitch. I mean, that's his opinion. I don't. Opinion.
I know he doesn't like me very much because I whooped that ass in Madden.
Whoa. We need a rematch, man. I need that rematch. I want to see that happen again. I'll be the private party. Let's see. Ron CMC says Dak equals a top 15 quarterback. I need to see people's top. What would they have? Because he's definitely top 15. Is it?
I think he's bottom of the top 10.
On the top 10.
Maybe top 12, but I think he's above top 15.
All right, that's fair. There Ken also says people stay crapping on Dak when it was Zeke who was underperforming. Thank you very much. Mean Joe Green says, I don't like the Cowboys, but the Cowboys would have been a better game against Seattle. Now, you said that as well, and I agree with that statement. But
especially with Carson Wentz getting hurt.
Yeah. I mean, we had to watch 40-year-old Josh McCown, which, no offense to Josh McCown, I love the man, but, he wasn't ready for that moment.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad. But the Seahawks are frustrating as well. You guys can watch that in my video tomorrow. I'll talk about both of those things. Let's see. Joe Green says, all teams have bad games. What do you think about the McCarthy hire? Well, I guess that was to everybody else, but we already talked about that. Yeah. Robot Guy says, I'm happy for you, Dilly. How did the Clapper keep his job for so long? We'll never know, but at least he's finally D-U-N-E. Yes.
This is another thing, Dylan. I don't know if you're thinking this too, but when we were talking about, Jerry Jones, possessive owner, right?
Right.
He is, but also he allows for a lot of leniency, though.
Yeah, that's true. I think
that's why Jason Garrett took so long.
I know. I get it. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to get all different aspects of it. He's trying to push the boundaries, see what works, see what doesn't. He's letting the time go. But the problem is that you waste so much time doing that. If one thing doesn't work, you need to get rid of it immediately. And Jason Garrett just had his job for way too long. I mean, remember, guys, he was hired in-house. He was an assistant coach for a long time. He's been with this team for over 20 years. So, I don't know. He kept on to that relationship for way too long. And hopefully McCarthy, it's like, hey, I like you. I'm giving you a 5-year contract. Get something done in those 5 years, okay? Let's get it done. So I hope they don't even talk about a contract extension until the 4th year or something like that, because I want them to get the success before we even talk about contract extensions. Let's see. Let's see what else. They only interviewed Marvin Lewis because of the Rooney Rule. I don't know what that. I don't know.
That could be.
I mean, honestly, he didn't.
Well, you have to though.
Yeah, I know, but that's.
I don't know. I don't think Marvin Lewis would have been the worst hiring of all time. Maybe you feel differently.
I would have been close.
Really?
I did. Yeah, I don't.
What really separates him that much from Mike McCarthy?
Success. Marvin Lewis didn't succeed in Cincinnati. He had a couple of seasons where he got to the playoffs, but he never won a playoff game in 15 years. He had talent every once in a while. He did build them up to be a fine team every once in a while, but they could never go over the next point. At least with Mike McCarthy, they had success. They had legitimacy. And I feel like the players more stood around what Mike McCarthy was saying over at least his first 10 years than what anybody ever had with Marvin Lewis. They were more of a team than Cincinnati Bengals Marvin Lewis. And My problem with Marvin Lewis is he really going to change anything? Does anybody have any expectations? Like at least with McCarthy, I think there would be expectations. I wouldn't see any with Marvin Lewis. And who else? And also, who else in the landscape of the NFL is interviewing Marvin Lewis? I don't think anybody else.
I don't think anybody. I think he's past his time. But I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
I'm just
McCarthy
saying
was a hot commodity within the NFL head coaching.
Yeah, I guess. Would you have? Okay, let's ask this question. Would you have? I know that he's already signed, so you're going to be biased. I understand this.
Wow.
Would you have rather someone else?
Well, honestly, I was saying that this was probably my third favorite. Like, if there were, in terms of our candidates, I'm going to be honest, this would have been third. Because I was really kind of looking for Urban Meyer to be the head coach. I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I thought Urban Meyer would have brought in the coaching landscape and would have done something great for this team. Because, he's had so much success. But with Jerry Jones' rule of I want success and I want to see it in the NFL, Urban Meyer hasn't been a head coach in the NFL. So,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I was with you there on Urban Meyer.
Well, it was Urban Meyer and Matt Rule from Baylor. Those were the two I was having above.
So you wanted a college guy?
Yeah, I thought. Well, first off, I mean, you look at the head coach landscape of the Cowboys over the years. We've had 3 Super Bowls won by head coaching or teams that were head coached by a college head coach back in the day. Jimmy Johnson won 2, Barry Switzer won 1. There has been success that has happened with this team, and we talked about the energy and bringing in a fresh face. That would have been a huge fresh face for the team, getting a college guy and bringing him here. I think Jerry just wants it now, and bringing those guys may take a year or two because they have to build to an NFL system. I don't think he wanted that, but I would have certainly enjoyed one of those 2 candidates personally. But McCarthy's number 3 on my list.
All right, interesting.
Let's see what else we got in the comments section here. A lot more. Oh, Party says Dak sucks. Okay, more people saying that. Appreciate it, guys.
Your buddy Party.
My buddy Party. What's up, buddy? What about those Colts? BMF_flame says if Kellen Moore stays, they're going to be contenders. I wouldn't say specifically just staying, but if he is given a big role, like you brought up earlier, if it's not just going to be the Mike McCarthy show. It's let's get Kellen Moore his opportunities to call the plays, give something tricky, work with it. Because I did see flashes last year of Kellen Moore calling the plays, and it really, really worked. And then I felt like Jason Garrett clamped on it. So hopefully with Kellen Moore, with Mike McCarthy liking Kellen Moore and building that relationship game by game, that could really work out. So
you also need some experience too, though. I mean, the guy, it's his first year calling plays and stuff. Like,
yeah, that's true.
He his number 1 offense in the league. I understand, I understand they weren't great in moments where sometimes they needed to be great, but you grow from that and you grow with experience. If nobody ever is allowed to grow from experience, you just halt it. Like,
then what are we doing, basically?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Just keep hiring guys that have had have had success 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
I dig to be either way. You never know.
Either way, I mean, sex is cool too, but I mean, success, right?
But I mean, yeah, definitely. And Kellen Moore, like you said,
success, same thing. I mean,
same thing. You win either way, but. Yeah. But I mean, you give Kellen Moore the opportunity to do something, and he was just a quarterback's coach the year before this. So giving him that opportunity, it's gonna work out. It's gonna.
And he seems to have a good relationship with Dak.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, he was backing him up before back in the day. Well, I guess 3 years ago.
Back in the day, yeah. Wasn't he wasn't he only a player like one year? Something like that?
Yeah. They played 2016. He was a backup, but it is what it is. Let's see what else we have here. We got some more stuff about other conversations. I think Houston's gonna be. Oh, he's gonna lose to Kansas City. I was like, I don't know if they're gonna beat him. That's a heck of a prediction there. Mean Joe Green says Cowboys go 8-8, maybe 9-7. That would be a huge disappointment if they go that. Again, I don't care if it's a new head coach. That's very disappointing.
People are saying they're gonna timestamp that moment.
Yes, get in there. I want to have that.
I don't know why you guys don't make GIFs from some of the stuff I've said and Dylan has said over the years. I mean, geez.
It's pretty
We
good
need
stuff.
we need a GIF maker.
Please, just capture all the highlights there for us. RVDECW, what's up, buddy? He says, I think Zeke's slowdown was also the result of Dallas not having a passing game that nobody fears. Well, the passing game was also number 1 in the league. Like, Dak was number 2 in passing yards this year. They were capable of doing their job. It's just Zeke was very underperforming, even with a great offensive line that, again, had 3 guys be in the Pro Bowl. So, I don't know. I feel like it was more on Zeke and his inability. And then we're having to rely on Dak because Zeke can't get those runs. That's just how I thought about it. Again, it was situational. Sometimes Dak did make the right plays, but more often than not, more times than at least since his rookie year, I was very confident what Dak was doing.
A couple people are asking about Wade Phillips. Do you think they should have gone with Wade Phillips?
Well, I mean, when you brought it up in the tweet or in the DM that we were talking about earlier today, actually, I was like, this could definitely happen. And then, an hour later, they announced Nolan. So I was like, wow, that was quick. He definitely has that in-house perspective. He's definitely been with the Cowboys. Again, head coach, defensive coordinator, 2 very different jobs. He's been able to do it. I mean, you look at his time in Denver. I mean, it was fantastic. It was one of the best defenses we've seen in a long time.
He's had success a lot of places.
Yeah, he's been around the town. So, and again, with the philosophy of Jerry Jones, I want winners. I want them now. Definitely could have worked with somebody because he's had success.
Yeah,
I would have loved to see a Wade Phillips reunion as long as he wasn't the head coach. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I don't think he's a head coach.
He's not especially a head coach at this point. Yeah, especially at this point. And he wants to continue to coach, so I would have definitely been on board with that, but it is what it is.
I think whoever gets him, though, is probably going to have an upgrade on their hands.
Oh, yeah.
I like him.
Definitely.
I still like him. I don't think he was an issue at all in L.A. I know they're going a different way with McVay. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens, but...
Hey, 2 people on this channel agreed that the Rams were not going to be in the playoffs this year. I wonder what happened with that, but, it's not Wade Phillips' fault. Let's just say that.
Yeah, some people are saying, what I was thinking was they didn't go the Phillips route because he's more of a 3-4 guy. But,
yeah.
What do you... I don't know. I don't really see, today's age of NFL... I mean, most of it's sub-packages regardless. And if you're not in sub-packages, how hard is it to switch your defense from 3-4 to 4-3? I
mean, you can move it. If you're a good enough coach, you can
literally the Patriots move their defense every week. So maybe in 86 it was a big deal, or even 96.
96. Yeah. But we're in a generation of the NFL where you can do anything you want, and these players will adapt, and we can move them around and be creative. It doesn't have to be as strict as humanly possible. It can be. You can fluctuate between different sets. I don't get that.
I do think, though, because the Cowboys, I think they went with the similar scheme approach because they do believe it was more the coach than the players. But at the same time, because you don't want to deviate too much from what the players have had success with, is what I'm trying to say. But at the same time, if those players weren't truly living up to their potential, maybe you do want to switch it. So it's kind of an interesting question.
Yeah, it's definitely worth something, and who knows? I mean, I love the man. I appreciate him, but just wasn't it, I guess.
All right. Anything else interesting in there?
Yeah, let me see if I got anything else for the Cowboys, because we're talking. There's a lot of Patriots stuff, of course. Very big Patriots fan.
I don't know if you saw my rant. I already went off on it.
Jake Stone asked Dilly, "How can I?" It says, "Who can I get your YouTube channel?" I'm assuming that meant how.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just go to Dilly Vanilli. Just search Dilly Vanilli on YouTube. I'll be the first and probably only result. Hopefully only result. Yeah, go check that out. Again, more videos are coming. I know there's only one on the channel right now, but we're in season 0, as I'm calling it. This is the postseason. Season 1 starts when the playoffs are over. So we'll have all the off-season stuff. That's how I categorize my playlist. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. We're going to talk about takeaways from each of the playoff rounds. So right now, tomorrow is the wild card round, then the divisional, championship games, and then I'll have separate videos for the Super Bowl and stuff like that.
That
So,
link
go
I
check that out.
posted is Dylan's channel.
Yeah, check that out. Thank you.
So, yeah, you could check it out from there. But it's just Dilly Vanilli.
Yep. Dilly Vanilla. You guys know it. VANILLY. I'm very happy to come back. I know some of you guys were on the first video, commented about it, so I very much appreciated that. Probably checking it out from on there. So thank you guys for that. I enjoyed having those conversations. Let's see. What else do we have here in terms of Thomas Jansen says, "Go Pack, go." So maybe he's excited. I don't know. Dilly looks like he's getting old, and Mitch still got the same baby face. What? I don't know. Thanks, Durkant.
Dylan's growing up.
Yeah, man. I'm 20. That doesn't even seem right to me, man. I don't know. I can buy alcohol in 6 months.
It's 2020, bro.
2020. That didn't even seem like a real year growing up. That was like, that didn't exist. And now it's here. And then a lot of other things are happening. Let's see. What else? I'm Your President says, so the head coach is still Jerry Jones, right? Yeah, you know. You got to deal with him first, unfortunately. Can't do much about that, because even if he's gone, somebody else will take it over in his family. So, can't do much about that. Flame says McCarthy just got stale with the play calling, or with his play calling, as Mitch said as well. I agree. We talked about that a lot when he got fired. It wasn't working out. And that whole article by Bleacher Report is absolutely wild. So it went into a lot of that detail. Hopefully the relationship between McCarthy and Dak is a lot better than McCarthy and Rodgers. But I don't think Dak has that personality of Aaron either. So he'll be a lot more coachable. I'm pretty sure about that. Even though Will Fuller's doing a good job there.
Also, like, he's in a different stage of his career now than Rodgers.
Yeah, that's true. I mean? Rodgers is. Well, and I'm Rodgers was frustrated not getting that championship because they hadn't won one in 7 years at that point when most of this was going down. So,
I get it from Rodgers' perspective, but I also get it from McCarthy's perspective.
Yeah, it was just the events themselves were wild. Like, if you read that article, it's just like, how can this not be a movie? You know, but with Dak being this is going to be his 5th year in the league. You know, getting into his prime, the prime situations, prime moments, capable of winning that championship and being young and hungry. It's a different scenario altogether. So, let's see what else we have here. Joe Green says, Mike McCarthy's play calling was Aaron Rodgers running off to his left, bomb it or throw it up, way off to the right, bomb it or throw it away. Yeah, pretty much.
This is pretty accurate. That's why I don't want him to be the OC. Okay, let Kellen Moore be the OC. You be the head coach, because, like I said, he's good situationally. He's good at preparing his team. He's good at adding a few things here and there. Mm-hmm. But don't take it away from the young man who brought you number one offense. Yeah,
and look, when he was gone, or when he left, they brought in and used Aaron Jones very effectively, and look how Aaron Jones did this year. So if there's one thing I need to see is that the relationship between him and Zeke, McCarthy and Zeke, really build into something, because that'll work out for the better if we're running the ball very effectively. But it's also going to take Zeke's effort as well, because I just didn't think he did that great this year. Let's see who else is here. What else do we have?
Dilly, I have a question for you, man.
What's up?
We are thinking of starting a Madden online franchise with Bottom Line viewers. Are you going to join?
Ooh, I'd be down for that. How does that work? What does that entail?
It would be like a normal league, and you play your game versus your opponent every week, and you're like in the NFL.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down for that.
I think we could do it. We'll do a fantasy draft. We'll do it live. We'll have some fun.
That's dope. I'm down with that. I've been playing a lot of Madden lately, so I'm down for that. Let's see. Anything else here before we wrap it up? Rick Badboy says Lewis should try college. What college wants to hire Marvin Lewis? I don't. Even then, I mean, yeah, you could.
Just retire, dude. You had a good run.
He was a fine announcer. I don't know. He can get a job somewhere in football. I just don't think coaching is the way to get it done. I'm sorry. A lot of stuff outside of there. Wentz is better than Dak. I disagree.
Dilly's delusional.
Come on now. Do you think Wentz is better than him? I'm asking you. Just personally. I don't.
Is Wentz better than Dak?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Man, they're really even to me. I think they're even. Cause the at the end of this year, like the way Carson was playing, it's tough. Because Dak didn't play as well at the end of the season as Wentz did, but Wentz didn't play as well at the beginning of the season that Dak did.
Yeah. It's just, it's tough because like I've seen greatness from both of them, but like Carson has had so many injuries that have really taken away from like getting to the next level, and like it's really hindering the team. I'm not even talking about yesterday because that was a really bad situation. He couldn't even expect it. But like, we've seen that was his first career playoff start. What is this? His fourth season, and they made the playoffs every single year.
Because he's hurt.
Yeah, he's always hurt.
That's the thing. He's always hurt. Yeah.
So what do you do after that? And Dak, he's never missed a game in his career. So, and I think he's done pretty well for himself. It's just got to get that situational stuff done. I've mentioned it 1,000 times. I'll probably mention it 1,000 more, but that's just what it is. Sebastian says, since Jason Garrett is out of Dallas, he could be looking for getting an opportunity to be the Cleveland Browns head coach. That is not the way to go. You just went from Freddie Kitchens, and you're going to go to Jason Garrett? That is awful.
Do you know what would happen?
It would be a total Browns move. Like, they would do it, but please don't do it. Like, I'm asking you, don't do that. It would not help you at all.
I'm scared. Don't do it.
Don't do it, please. You have too much talent.
Baker Mayfield would lose his mind.
Oh, I think.
And I don't even think Baker's like phenomenal or anything like that, but he would lose his mind.
I think he would ask for a release. I think a lot of them would. I know they were already doing that this year, but good God, you're just going from one bad coach to another. Let's see, what else? Anything else here that has to do with this?
I think we're good, man.
I think we're good, yeah. I don't think there's anything else there. So.
All right. That's it, Dilly Vanilli. So I'll let you plug your stuff. Go ahead.
All right, Dilly Vanilli, you can follow me there on the YouTube channel. More stuff to come. We got a couple of videos in the playoffs here talking about top 10 takeaways from the wild card round tomorrow. Next week will be about the divisional rounds, then the championship games. And then we'll talk about the Super Bowl, round out the season, and then we're getting into the off season where we're doing more of the video essays. It's not reactions or analysis or anything like that. It's more about video essay content about bigger topics, some history stuff as well. I'm doing the evolution on pass catching running backs. That's a big one that I'm looking forward to releasing in March. We're also going to have, of course, free agency talks about some of the bigger free agencies when that comes out. And then the draft. We'll have big reactions for who I think the best draft picks are, or maybe even a mock draft. Not sure yet, but we'll see about that. And just a lot more NFL content on the way. So follow me, Dilly Vanilli, on YouTube. You can also follow me on Twitter, where I talk about football and a whole bunch of other stuff that has nothing to do with football. So if you enjoy, music and stuff like that, you can follow me on Twitter at the Dilly Vanilli as well.
I like it, Dylan. I think I'm going to be watching some of those videos. They sound enticing to me.
Thank you. All right,
of course,
guys. I'm watching the Bottom Line View for more content.
Oh, are you? I don't know. You keep track. I don't see you in those comments with Kevin Durant. I would love to see Dilly have a fight in the comments with Kevin Durant. I would love that.
You can start one very easily. He just has to bring up something about the Cowboys, and then we're on it. And I'm like, Dolphins, and then I win. So, whatever it is, we'll figure it out. We'll get something there.
And you're back home. You were away, so we'll see. Mm-hmm. We'll see if we can get you on for maybe a live stream or something like that going forward. Obviously, both of our teams are eliminated, which I don't know what to do with myself right now because I'm not used to this.
That's a weird time. Yeah, it's a weird feeling, isn't it? For you especially.
Yeah, I don't remember. I guess 2009 was the last. It's kind of
early.
like this early, but usually for me, it's almost like a relief sometimes, though. Like, I know this sounds like a Patriot fan thing to say, but, like, you know what I'm saying. Like, it's like you don't have to get all antsy for the game and, like, your heart is not beating through the game. You can just enjoy the game.
Well, I mean, when you got 6 Super Bowls under the ring,
and you're pretty happy, you're already feeling good.
You just step back and relax. And,
you could just watch the games. Someone else can win this year. Like whatever. That's how I feel.
It's whatever. Just kind of casually chilling on the couch, drinking some apple juice, AC, and just having a good time. That's all it is. I understand it though, because it's just like when LeBron goes to the finals every single year. Eventually, he's got to take a freaking year off, please.
And I get to root for other teams too,
Yeah. No, everybody else is like, yes, please, thank you. We'll
and I get to look like Houdini.
I mean, think about it. The amount of quarterbacks that have played on the AFC side in the Super Bowl since like 2003, there's only been 4. So we're getting some new blood in there. Getting some different.
Joe Flacco. Go.
Joe Flacco got 1. He got 1. Everybody was Brady,
I realized
and Manning. They were just holding that grip forever, and then Flacco was like, I got 1. So we're either getting Tannehill, Watson, Mahomes, or Lamar in the Super Bowl. Who doesn't love that?
Oh yeah, let's get okay. I know people. You put your playoff predictions up there. I don't know if you want to spoil it. Does it change at all? Do you have a
you mean my playoff predictions for this?
Yeah,
week?
like do you have a Super Bowl prediction now? Like what is it?
My Super Bowl, excuse me, that didn't come out right. My Super Bowl prediction still is Ravens 49ers. Like, I feel confident in that. I didn't go with any upset like the Saints because I just didn't feel as confident about that. And I still think the Packers, no offense, are frauds. I don't think they're...
I don't know, though. I think they could beat Seattle.
I think they can beat Seattle. But
I think it'll go either way, but I think they can, definitely.
I think they can definitely beat them. I don't think they can beat San Francisco. And that's where I have it at. So I am pretty confident in my NFC pick. AFC, there's a lot of stuff to be determined. I mean, the Chiefs can definitely do it. Houston, I feel least confident about in any of the 4. And Tennessee, Ryan Tannehill only had 72 passing yards. So I don't know. I mean, they can get the job. It'll be fun, though. I will say that. No matter what, because my Cowboys aren't in it either, so I can be more analytical than anything else. It's going to be a lot of fun watching these games because Wild Card Weekend was really good.
Yeah, this could be one of the best playoffs of all time. We'll have to see because it started off very well.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see that.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed, make sure you do Gronk Spike the like button. Subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL content just like this. And also, if you're watching this on the rerun, comment your opinion. What do you think of the Cowboys? Anything you want to comment below in terms of their future, let us know in the comment section below, and we'll definitely go back, read it, and respond. All right, guys, thank you for joining us here live from Mitch, Dilly. Peace out.
Peace.